Knowledge of your audience is one of those elements in speechcraft that everyone knows about, but is often treated as a bit of a footnote in speech preparation. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, if any, today I will be speaking about my findings on how to know your audience, and I will present to you 5 different elements, the first 4 of which are from the University of Pittsburgh's Oral Communications Lab. Audience expectations, demographics, knowledge of the topic, and attitude towards the topic. And the 5th and final element will be from the book Communications for Business Professionals, Canadian edition, How to Better Perceive Your Audience. Let's go. Number 1, audience expectations. When people go to see a speech, they have certain expectations about what's going to be delivered, the attitude. If you violate those audience expectations, then there can be negative consequences. Speaking of expectations, I have a duck on my big green egg here, and I have some high expectations from my family today. Let's take an example of when your speech does not quite match audience expectations. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Billy. May God rest his soul. And may each and every one of you be invited to my play this weekend featuring a goofball troupe of college students as they hilariously bring down an airplane. Oh, what's that? Billy died in an airplane crash? Well, if anyone needs me, I'll be over by the finger sandwiches. My sincerest condolences to the family. Second, when we're talking about knowing your audience, you have to at least give some weight to demographics, age, gender, etc. But you have to be careful, though, to not stereotype based on demographic data alone. And that's where later we will talk a little bit about perceiving your audience a little bit deeper. How old are you, buddy?
8.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Let's now talk about the audience's general knowledge of the topic. On the one hand, you do not want to launch into too technical of a speech where you will lose your audience really quickly. And I'm quite guilty of that sometimes because I use a lot of law words to make myself sound smarter than I really am. Latin terms like habeas corpus, a priori, or as my Italian wife would say, a priori. And then there's the opposite, where you talk in a very condescending tone as to insult the intelligence of your audience in a mansplaining kind of way. Don't do that either. Next, let's talk about the attitude of the audience toward your topic. And the audience's attitude will shape, or at least influence heavily, the way you deliver your content. For example, as some of you know, I'm really into bicycles, as can be evidenced by my cycling race jersey that I am wearing right now, and the large fleet of bikes here in my basement. So for example, if I am delivering a talk about something controversial like bike lanes, my message to the converted will be a lot different than if I am talking about bike lanes with a bunch of diesel drinking, truck nut loving, nice people. My final point is about perceiving your audience. In the book Communication for Business Professionals, the author writes about how to become an active perceiver of your audience, of inserting yourself into your audience's culture in order to better understand your audience. For example, for my Nerd Night talk, represent, I did something right, which is admittedly rare. I went to Nerd Night events ahead of time. I networked with people there. I checked out their website and lurked their social media, and I also dated one of their organizers. No, I did not date one of their organizers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I did not do that. In inserting myself into the Nerd Night culture and becoming an active perceiver, I was better able to understand my audience, their culture, their tendencies, and in the end, better able to tailor my speech toward my audience. To recap, to better know your audience, know your audience's expectations, find out a little bit about your audience's demographics, know a little bit about what your audience knows about your topic generally, and find out what is your audience's general attitude toward your topic. Finally, take those steps to better perceive your audience. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.